The mysterious, the macabre, the out of this world. The following are real people. They have real stories, and they've had real encounters. Here tonight on Newsworthy, two words and two question marks.
He's alive! Have you checked the children? Get out!
Hello, and welcome to Encounters. The Pascagoula Abduction is one of the most well known and widely discussed alien abduction cases in U.S. history. It took place on the night of October 11th in 1973 in Pascagoula, Mississippi, when two men, Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker, claimed to have been abducted by extraterrestrials while fishing along the Pascagoula River. Charles Hickson, 42, and Calvin Parker, 19, were fishing off a pier near the river when they noticed a bright light in the sky. The light descended, and to their shock, it hovered above them. Then they saw a craft, described as a large egg shaped object, land nearby. From the craft, three beings emerged. The creatures were described as having humanoid shape, but with distinct features. They were described as having gray, wrinkled skin, claw like hands, and a small, featureless face with slit like eyes. They were about 5 feet tall. Hickson and Parker were unable to move due to a paralysis that had overtaken them. They were taken aboard the craft where they were subjected to a series of strange and frightening experiences. Hickson described being physically examined by a robotic arm that seemed to probe his body. He and Parker were both reportedly conscious during this ordeal, but were unable to communicate or resist. After what seemed to be a relatively short period, the beings returned the two men to the exact same location. The craft took off and disappeared into the sky. Hickson and Parker were reportedly in a state of shock, and after a short time, they decided to go to the local sheriff's office and report the encounter. The sheriff's office was initially skeptical of the men's claims, but the police did not dismiss their reports outright. They were questioned, and Hickson and Parker were even separated while being interviewed. Under hypnosis, both men recounted similar details about the abduction, which further fueled interest in the case. Hickson, in particular, was consistent in his story, and his level headed demeanor led some to take him very seriously. Both Hickson and Parker underwent a polygraph or a lie detector test, which indicated they were both telling the truth, or at least they both believed their own story. However, the polygraph results were not conclusive evidence of the Pascagoula abduction case, attracted significant media attention. Hickson and Parker were interviewed multiple times, and their story was covered widely, making it one of the most famous abduction cases in the United States. It has since been the subject of documentaries, books, and various UFO related investigations. Some UFO researchers believe that the incident was a genuine alien abduction. They point to the consistency of the details in the Hickson and Parker stories, their polygraph results, and the psychological effects that seem to experience during and following the event. However, the skeptics have suggested that the men may have been influenced by the media or other factors such as stress, and that they may have experienced a collective hallucination or shared delusion. Some have even proposed that the abduction was a hoax, with Hickson and Parker fabricating the entire event for attention or financial gain. However, there was very little evidence to support this claim, and both men stood adamantly by their accounts for the rest of their lives. The Pascagoula abduction remains one of the most compelling UFO encounters to this day. Hickson and Parker continue to speak about the incident, with Hickson giving interviews and eventually writing a book called UFO Contact at Pascagoula in 1983. Calvin Parker, however, was more reluctant to discuss the event for many years, but later came forward with his own accounts in the 2000s, confirming much of what Hickson had said. Charles Hickson had passed away in 2011, but the case continues to be a focal point of UFO lore. The Pascagoula abduction is frequently cited in discussions about alien encounters and remains a very important part of UFO history. And Jerry, if you can't see the light,
Be the light.